Ever since their inception in 2019, AEW has made a name for itself by changing the direction of pro wrestling history. From their first ever pay-per-view event, Double or Nothing 2019, to signing a TV deal after only putting on a handful of shows, they were the first company in nearly 2 decades to be able to take on and legitimately challenge the power of WWE in the wrestling industry. And if we're being honest, it looks like they're about to do it again. I'm Omer from Real Take Wrestling. Be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. The reason that AEW is about to change pro wrestling history forever has to do primarily with the announcement that Tony Khan is going to make this week. That is that there is going to be a re-upping of their TV rights deals with AEW Rampage and Dynamite. And on top of that, it looks like, if the reports that we have been hearing are true, it looks like that there's going to be an additional show added to the lineup in AEW Collision. And I know on the surface, people are like, well, of course they're going to get another show. Their show on Dynamite is doing well, and you would think that Warner, who said that they want to get more into the live sports game, you would think that they would want to add more time, right? Of course, and that is true, but that's not the reason why AEW is about to change the entire narrative and landscape of pro wrestling. It has to do with this reported number. And again, as of this recording, it is still a report. It is still a bit of a rumor, but it looks like what we're hearing, which is that AEW is going to be re-upped close to $1 billion for their TV over 5 years. If that is true, or if it's even anywhere close, if it's $800 million, if it's $900 million, if it's anywhere close to that $1 billion number, it completely changes the game for pro wrestling television rights. And here's why. Right now, for each of their shows, so for SmackDown, WWE signed nearly $1 billion deal with Fox. Same thing with WWE Raw. They have a similar deal with Peacock to give them $1 billion. So right now for WWE, which is the biggest game in town as far as pro wrestling goes, $1 billion is the number for their TV rights contract. And for AEW, again, depending on what we get, for a secondary promotion, for a secondary show, for a alternative, I should say, to WWE, to be able to not only compete and get an audience, but also compete to the point where they're able to get something even kind of close to where WWE is getting, that's a big deal. And I know people are going to say, oh, well, WCW drew more ratings. As far as WCW getting more ratings, it was a completely different time in television. Right now, given the market of live TV, given the market of cable in general, getting 800,000 to 1 million people watching your show every week consistently means a whole hell of a lot to these TV partners that AEW and WWE have. That's why you see NXT still on TV, even though it's not doing like fantastic numbers, or it's not doing numbers that are as good as Monday Night Raw or Friday Night SmackDown. It's still doing like nearly 500, it's I think 500 to 700,000 people every week, which is really good for live TV, especially when it's live TV that's relatively cheap to produce and one that the company doesn't necessarily have to worry about. The company being the TV partner doesn't necessarily have to worry about producing themselves. It's all handled by WWE. So given that, I think AEW's numbers are not only great, I think they have solidified themselves as not only a staple in pro wrestling, but a staple in television. And that in itself is a big deal. But the fact, again, I'm going to go back to the money, the fact that they're able to get this re-up that looks like it's going to be of so much value, it changes the game. Because now for WWE, they're going to be able to go back to NBC Universal, to Fox, or whoever else is interested in getting their television rights and say, well, we are obviously by far the number one wrestling promotion in the world, and the secondary promotion just got $1 billion for their TV contract. We are going to demand slightly more, or we definitely should be at the same level that we are at right now. And that's not something that I think any wrestling company, even WCW back in the day, I don't think WCW could ever claim to do that, because remember, WCW was owned by Time Warner. That was like a joint venture. Time Warner paid for everything when it came to WCW, and there was, for as long as they did, there was never a worry of WCW being thrown off TV or anything like that. But the second they decided to sell, it was over. But going back to WWE, like, no wrestling company, or AEW, I should say, no wrestling company has been able to, control the narrative to that extent, or even have that much of an impact on the entire landscape of pro wrestling for a very long time. Even TNA, at the best that they ever were, they never got close to this. They never got close to the pay-per-view numbers that AEW had. They never got close to the television rights numbers that AEW is about to bring in. And if you asked me 4 years ago, when AEW first started, that, hey, in 4 years, not only are they still going to be on TV, but they're going to be doing consistent numbers, and on top of that, they are going to get nearly, it looks like, $1 billion for their TV deal, I'd be like, you're kind of out of your mind a little bit, but okay, sure. Again, I'm someone who's very positive as far as the way they view professional wrestling. I want wrestling to do good. That's why I think pro wrestling fans should be excited about this, because for a secondary promotion to be able to do this, it shows you not only the confidence that Warner obviously has in AEW, but it shows you that pro wrestling on television is viable outside of WWE. And that's been AEW ever since the beginning. The entire experiment with AEW was, is it viable to have a legitimate alternative to WWE running weekly shows and taking up TV airtime every single week and be profitable? AEW has proven all of that to be true, and then some. And if you ask me, the more pro wrestling companies that have time on TV, the more pro wrestling companies are able to get money from their television partners, the better it is for pro wrestling, and the better it is for professional wrestlers. Let's go away from WWE for a second. Let's talk about the impact that this will have on other companies. And the thing is, there is a serious chance of a TV network saying, hey, Impact Wrestling, or hey, MLW, or hey, whatever other, GCW, let's give you a contract. Let's see what happens, because it looks like this pro wrestling thing is doing well enough for two companies to thrive. Maybe we want to get in on the action, because that's kind of how these things work. They work in trends. When one company sees another company doing something well, they want to be able to get in on that market. And pro wrestling, as we know now, is a very lucrative market still. One of the most lucrative fandom markets out there in the entire world. So I think eventually, it's not going to be to the point right now, I think, where, Impact's going to be getting $1 billion. No, but I think, could you see a TV partner say, with a little more backing, with a little more advertising, with a little more boost to their product, we could probably turn this into something, because people seem to like weekly pro wrestling. People seem to be into it, and it draws fans. It draws houses. Let's see what we can do. Like, I'm telling you, there really is something to this idea of kind of copycatting. Like companies like to do this. And especially with the way that things are changing, like, it could even be something where they get a streaming deal or something like that. But speaking of streaming deal, I want to talk about that for a little bit, because one other part of the reason that AEW is about to change the landscape of pro wrestling is, it looks like, again, as of this recording, we have no confirmation on this, but all signs point to AEW doing something with this new Warner Brothers Discovery Max streaming service that they're going to announce pretty soon. All signs point to All In likely being on that platform. And you would think that with the amount of money that Warner Brothers is reportedly pouring into AEW, they would like to get more big shows like that. So could you see a show like All In happen every year in a big arena somewhere, all across the world, and AEW selling that out? Sure. And you could see it exclusively on Max. That's how you do it. That's how you dip your toe if you're AEW as well. That's how you dip your toe and kind of prove that, hey, not only are we strong on live TV, we're also strong as far as streaming services go. You want to be able to sustain a certain number of subscriptions every single quarter, every single month, whatever it is. Our fans are going to flock to Max when it opens up. Our fans are going to stay to watch all the wonderful stuff that we put on, but also all the wonderful stuff that you put on. And the fact that a company can say that in 2023 and it's not WWE doing it is a massive deal. I don't care whether you like AEW. I don't care whether you hate AEW. I don't care whether you hate WWE. Whatever your preference is, one thing that is gosh darn deniable is that AEW has forever now made an impact on the landscape of pro wrestling. And this is coming at a time where you have AEW selling out basically, Wembley Stadium. And I know people are going to be like, oh, you're calling it a sellout? They've only sold 65,000 seats as of this recording. I think that whatever it's going to be set up for, I think right now it's set up for like 70,000. They're going to hit 70,000, which is a sellout for them well before August. It's very possible that they could hit 75,000. I don't know what the market looks like right now, but and again, a match has not been announced yet. Like, if they announce Omega Ospreay, or if they announce something big like that, they're gonna sell more tickets. It's just how this works. So again, people want to hate, people want to say whatever they want. I seriously think it's a massive deal for a company to do this. WCW at their peak, remember, WCW at their peak only hit 34,000 people in the Georgia Dome. And that was Goldberg versus Hulk Hogan on WCW Nitro when Goldberg won his first title. That was the only time that the company's gotten close. Before that, you have to go back years and years and years. And of course, with everything AEW, you can't talk about that company without mentioning one Phil Brooks, CM Punk. So it looks like with the debut of AEW Collision is going to come the return of CM Punk, who has not been with the company since All Out 2022, since he put that gripe bomb out there for all of us to hear and captivated us for all that time. He was up there, didn't he? CM Punk likely is going to make his return at the June 17th show in Chicago, United Center. It's already booked. Tony Khan and AEW have not announced it officially, but we know it's already booked. It's already in the works. It's going to happen. And now the question is, what do you do with him now that you have him back? There's rumors that Samoa Joe is going to be the opponent. There's rumors that Chris Jericho is going to be the opponent. For me, I mean, look, if you're AEW, you've already made a massive impact with getting re-upped. You've already made a massive impact with this All-In show and the success of selling all these tickets. If you want to carry this company through the summer with a massive storyline, with all this momentum, and take that narrative back, take control of that narrative in pro wrestling, there's only one feud to do. It's Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks versus CM Punk. In whatever way you want to do it, you want to add FTR into it, you want to make it just a singles with CM Punk representing his side and Kenny Omega representing his side. However you want to do it, you should do it. But my God, you really should do it if it's possible. If there was ever a time for people to put petty differences aside, if there was ever a time for people to just come together and do business, it is the Elite and CM Punk right now. And I understand that I was not there. I understand that I can't speak for either side. I understand that I can't speak for however either side has felt about what happened. But what I can say is, as a fan, I will pay a whole lot of money to watch that match. And I assume that for AEW and everyone involved, there's a lot of money to be made with a match like that or a feud like that. And again, we've been waiting for all these years for AEW to have their breakout storyline. If they're able to shoot the gripe bomb from All Out 2022 into a work, it will be one of the greatest things in pro wrestling history. And it will not only captivate an audience that you already have every week, it will captivate an audience outside just to see what the hell is going to happen. I don't know, y'all. You tell me. I want to hear from y'all. Let me know what you guys think. Is AEW actually changing anything with this? Let me know in the comment section below. If you haven't already done so, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. And until next time, be happy, be healthy, and as always, keep it real.